So I'm going to be talking about inbound for commerce, how to double down and create a scalable content strategy. As Danny said, I'm Ethan Giffen, founder and CEO of Groove. My Twitter sign is @Opie. If you want to follow me, there's definitely some good stuff that I tend to put out. It's a mix of commentary and content. So just briefly, real quick, just about us. We've been a gold solution partner. We started working with Magento in 2009 and became a partner in 2010 and have done some great implementations. We've also a HubSpot gold partner, soon to be platinum partner. We're a big believer in that platform. So we do things like analysis and strategy, design, e-commerce development, Magento managed services, and inbound marketing. So I also would like to introduce one of our esteemed clients, Michael Sapera, CFO and Director of Technology from Perlis Inc. Michael?
Hi. Perlis is a 75-year-old family-run chain of clothing stores founded in New Orleans, and we now have stores in Baton Rouge and other areas of southeast Louisiana. We've been selling online for about 15 years. We moved to Magento Professional about 4 years ago, and we went with Groove and did our enterprise site that debuted around November 1 last year. I've been with Perlis for 24 years. It seems like forever sometimes, but we're really excited about what we're doing with Groove and what the future holds for us.
Thank you, thank you. It's great. They have an amazing story. You know, a 75-year-old retailer with deep family roots in the New Orleans area and some great unique products as well. So I know they're equally excited about Magento. So let's get into today's agenda. We're going to be talk a little bit about why focus on content. I'm going to give you just a high-level overview of inbound marketing. I know that the term was brought up in the marketing automation session a little bit earlier today, but I want to touch a little bit deeper into that. I want to talk a little bit about goals and planning, something a lot of kind of small to mid-sized retailers just don't get, and it's very important. We're going to talk about 10 ideas for creating quality content in 2014, how to stay connected, and then of course, I always like to leave plenty of time at the end for Q&A. I think that's the best part, actually, like answering questions and helping people solve problems. So think about your questions, and we're going to have some time at the end to do that. Also, just would like to say we've got a great book, How to Supercharge Your Magento Site. Anybody that stops by our booth, feel free to pick one up. It's got chock full of a bunch of tips and tricks on how to take your sales with Magento to the next level. So why focus on content? Well, things like blogging, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. People are like, why do I have to do all of this? How does this make sense for me, right? Well, I'll tell you why you have to do this. You know, it's things like 79% of online shoppers spend at least 50% of their time researching the products that they want to buy, right? So having your site found for that is extremely important. That's why you should do that. 57% of businesses have acquired a customer through their blog. Who in the room has a blog? Yeah, it's good. So, you know, again, like it's something that everyone should be doing, especially with the changes that Google's made. Freshness of content is extremely important. 67% of B2C companies and 41% of B2B companies have acquired a customer through their Facebook. Who has bought something that they've seen on a page they've liked? Raise their hand. Yeah, I have. So again, being seen in those audiences is extremely, extremely important. And then lastly, why you should be doing this is the thing they call the Google, right? And you know, about 30 months or so ago, they came out with an update for Panda and then a subsequent update called Penguin, where things like unique content were heavily favored upon the old days. I used to really love the old days where I could take a website, optimize the title tag with like some dynamic tokens. Maybe I'd write one paragraph of text and I'd have some dynamic keywords and stuff that showed up on a page. And next thing you know, you'd start to get rankings for all your products. Well, that change with Panda really kind of dumped that out and kind of sent that in the trash can and left a lot of people scrambling. I've met quite a few retailers who've lost in the millions of dollars of revenue based upon those changes. And again, it's all about quality content. And some of the changes, subsequent changes, have been about the freshness of content, right? How often are you publishing on your website? And a blog's a great way to do that. And also how much your content is getting shared socially is important as well. So all things to think about when you're trying to kind of get out there and create quality content on your site. It's really important, and you're going to lag behind if you're not doing that. So it's great to see so many people with blogs in the room. You'd be surprised, the audiences I talk to, where they still just don't get it. So next, it's the elements of inbound marketing, right? Inbound versus outbound. Inbound's like a big magnet, right? That to kind of pull in, right? So inbound marketing is where communication is two ways and interactive, right? Things like through social media, blog comments. Outbound is where you're kind of screaming the message at your customers, and you don't know if they're hearing it, right? And that's through things like billboards and TV and radio, right? Plenty of free parking. Everybody used to put in their radio commercials. But this is where the communication is two ways, and you have the ability to communicate with your clients and your prospects through many different channels. So those channels can be things like referral links from partner sites, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, email, organic SEO. It's where the marketers are providing value, right? It's where you're educating your customers on what what they need to be able to make a purchase decision. And it oftentimes entertains and educates, right? Who's put something fun on their Facebook page just because they wanted to, right? Raise your hand. Like, who's done a classic Throwback Thursday, right? Yeah, Like, I think we put out this guy out here from Sweet Tooth that everybody thinks is my twin. There he is. Someone asked if my son was here, and so I think that went on our Facebook and Twitter, right? So having fun and kind of communicating that, you've got to have different types of messages, right? So that's really the difference between inbound and outbound. And there's a lot of elements of that. I tend to think about it like a hub and spoke mentality, right? Where your website's the hub, and then you have all these spokes. And if you're not kind of doing all of these things, you've got missed opportunities. I don't know if anybody's from Maryland here. That's where we're based in Baltimore. Yeah, nice, very nice. Like the state cake is the Smith Island cake. And if you've ever had it, it's all of these delicious layers of thin cake with icing in between. And I think there's something like 8 or 12 layers of that. So when you think about that, it's layering together all these great little things to come up with one big macro piece of cake that's really quite large. I get in trouble every time I'm around one because it's just so delicious. But it's not, it's hard to find like big, huge wins. It's hard to go find a big piece of cake, yellow cake, to win with. It's about a bunch of kind of micro layers that you put together. And that's how we really think about our inbound marketing strategies. So it's things like blogging and content strategies. It's things like PR, public relations. On-page SEO is important, right? Who's had an SEO problem with Magento and crawlability? Anybody in this room? Yeah, it can be a real mess if you don't know what you're doing and kind of get out of control there. You can end up with like 9 pages of duplicate content for every product, like if you kind of just let things run wild. So that's a huge piece of that. Things like ratings and reviews. Again, creating that unique user-generated content. Pay-per-click and retargeting. Social media. Online video, really, really important and a great way to create some fun content. Conversion rate optimization. Thinking about your kind of sales funnel and how to get more people through it. And then ultimately email nurturing, which is something that, again, very, very exciting to see the turn where It used to be only Amazon could do these things, right? Now they're getting in the grasp of kind of the small and the medium and size e-tailers, right? Who hates competing against Amazon in the room? Raise your hand, right? Yeah. Every week we get a call from somebody that sells through Amazon and they just love to hate it. So it's kind of layering together all these pieces with the hub and spoke is kind of what becomes your inbound marketing strategy. This may be a little bit hard to see, but there's some great elements of this. And my friends at HubSpot have really talked a lot about this, but it's all about attracting, converting, closing, and ultimately delighting. You have strangers. They can find you through blogs, unique content, social media, the keywords you use on your site. You want to get them in there, turn them into a visitor, right? You're progressing them through. Maybe you do an email welcome series, right? And they become a lead. Maybe they sign up for your newsletter another way. Maybe you get them into your social media funnel. And again, they become a lead that way. And then it's progressing and getting them to become a customer and ultimately buy. And then after that, become a customer, it's becoming a promoter, right? How do you re-engage people that haven't bought in 180 days? How do you re-engage people that haven't bought in 365 days? So, there's a lot of extra steps there that most e-tailers don't think about. They don't think about, starting with the email address and building upon that as you're interacting with them. So like on our side of the business, we use these tactics exclusively, right? And the more kind of touch points we can get with people, the easier it is once we get on the phone with them. Well, you guys want the transaction to happen online, hopefully, and there's a lot of ways to do that. So, getting them into your funnel sooner is really important, and we're all spending money on paid advertising and pay-per-click. So we're going to get deeper into that as we go along. Closed loop marketing. Again, how are you going to take your marketing efforts, your paid efforts, and put them all together? Like we're big fans of the HubSpot tool, but there's other things out there that kind of do similar types of marketing automation. But we've got again all these elements, and we're not tracking them all, and we're not seeing the engagement paths that people take as they come to our website. So, what happens when somebody engages and reads content on the site? What happens if they come to a landing page and they download a coupon or an offer? What about analytics? Your e-commerce data in Magento, right? And then your social data, putting that all together in one platform and one system is very advantageous to helping you kind of know more about what your customers and prospects are doing. And again, this is just an example of closing the loop and how to leverage that data, where you have people that are, haven't bought in the last 365 days. They're out in no man's land, right? How are you going to get them back, right? You've spent good money to acquire them, but how are you going to get them back and get them off this list and, being a valid customer again? So some of that comes from the goals and planning, AKA it's the missing link, right? The worst thing you could do is to go out and say, oh, I need some SEO, oh, I need some social media. Like, it's just kind of like, it just doesn't work that way, and you're not going to find yourself committed to the plan if you don't set goals with that. So, again, this is kind of rare by small to medium retailers. We see it all the time. So you kind of want to think about working backwards and break down by months your peaks and valleys, and things like creating schedules around your homepage updates, your banners, your email batch and blasts, your Facebook updates, Twitter, product updates, your automated workflows and emails, right? But ultimately, you want it to kind of roll back to the three main metrics. Everything that we do should focus on these three main metrics, right? Average order value, traffic, and conversion rate. And they all work together. And this is like this is the magic sauce that, again, every kind of activity that you do on your website shouldn't be because it's cool. or because somebody else has it, it should be, how does it align to one of these goals, to one of these three metrics? And there's a fourth kind of thing that I put off to the side, and that's kind of back office optimization, right? That's kind of doing projects to get data into your ERP system, or getting them into your point of sale system, or your ship station or something like that. So, those kind of things can help you with operational efficiency. So that's kind of the fourth winner for like cost savings. But any dollars you're committing to your website should really be aligned to increasing any of these three metrics right here. I think about the magic letters, right? It's not gym, tanning, and laundry. It's GPCT, right? It's goals, planning, challenges, and timeline. Thinking about what your goal is, thinking about the plan to achieve the goal. What are the challenges that you might have to achieve that goal? Maybe that's internal buy-in, maybe it's budget, maybe it's just lack of knowledge on how to do it. And then what's your timeline? You should be thinking about things that, hey, I wouldn't do this every month. I want to do this every quarter. This is something that I want to have, every 6 months, and this is going to take me 12 months to achieve those goals. But by putting that together and documenting it, and it really helps you to kind of align and again reinforce what you're doing. If you think about things like Weight Watchers, right? They never tell you to, they want you to basically lose 10% of your body weight as your goal there. And you make sure you don't want to get too far over your skis with this and have an unrealistic goal, right? You can't take your, you can't take your conversion rate from, 0.5% to 10%. It's really, really hard. And very, very few people have done it that some of those are like, beautiful mind type folks that sit around, friends like my friends Tim Ash or Brian Eisenberg that have written books on this stuff. But think about some example goals. How, I want to increase my monthly visitors to X. I want to increase my conversion rate to Y. I want to, up my average order size. I want to grow my email list. I want to, increase my social reach and audience. I want to lift my organic traffic. We still see a lot of fluctuation in organic traffic and a lot of frustration in the industry. I want to decrease my cart abandonment rate or my bounce rate. Again, like some really simple goals to write out and align yourself with. We have a really cool little conversion rate worksheet you can download off of our website. It basically allows you to, it's an Excel spreadsheet with some formulas in it. You can go up there, you can enter things like your average monthly visitors, your average orders per month, your average gross profit, and it can kind of show you how you will affect your revenue by kind of pulling different levers with your website. So we often get asked, how often does your audience want to hear from you? Most typical folks, like unless you're like, a 25 or $50 million e-tailer, maybe you could have enough audience, but typically a couple of blogs a week at most. We've seen email frequency really change. Some people are everyday emailers, depending upon your industry. Some people get away with once a week. But then, it's social updates. How often are you going to tweet, right? You can't tweet something once a day, right? It just gets lost. How often are you going to update your Facebook? How often are you going to update your Instagram, et cetera? So really kind of thinking about and testing what the optimal frequencies are for creating your content. You can kind of over content people in that process. So again, you want to think about that and really kind of get yourself on a program where, maybe you're publishing your blogs on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Maybe you're dropping your strongest day to drop your email is Wednesday at, 11 a.m. Really kind of depends, again, upon what works for you in your business. There's no one size fits all for that. And start a calendar. This is just something that there's a ton of these content calendars online that you can just search for. Blog calendar, content calendar, where you can go in and create that. I think I stole this one off of HubSpot, but there's a ton of simple ones out there that you can go just fill out an Excel spreadsheet and really get yourself into a program. So I want to talk about, excuse me, 10 ideas for creating quality content. And, one of my favorite movies is North Shore. Anybody ever seen that movie? It's like a great 80s movie. One person, a couple people, Gregory Harrison, made me want to grow a beard, it's a great movie. They talk a lot about, they were redesigning the logo for the surfboard company, and it's like it didn't have enough soul, right? And so, I think about websites, and, it's how do you give it more soul? How do you kind of put yourself out there a little bit more? It's something Michael and I were actually talking about at lunch, where they have an amazing 75-year-old history, but, the owner doesn't like to kind of, talk about himself a lot. And so you need to really talk about yourself a lot. It's kind of nuts, but it's how you kind of promote your businesses. So when you're competing against people like Amazon, you need to really think about that along the way and how you're going to kind of tell your story. And this is a good friend of mine, my brother from another mother. Unfortunately, he's not on Magento, although I've tried to sell him many times on moving over. His name's Rob Snell, and he's part of he has a website called gundogsupply.com, based out of Starkville, Mississippi. And, they constantly tell their story to get their point across. And it's helped, basically some people in the middle of nowhere sell millions and millions of dollars of dog collars and dog GPS units every year, year after year, and growing at a tremendous clip. Because, they talk about constantly how they're different from the big boys, right? You can go buy their products at many different websites, right? You can buy it from Amazon and big box retailers. Hopefully there's no big box retailers in here, right? No, anyone? All right. So, you got to go out there and be highly competitive, right? Because these people are buying large amounts of product and getting them at a much better price than what you get it. But people want to be educated, right? They want to know your history. They want to know why you're different, right? And these guys talk about how the business was grown and how it evolved and how they, bought it after their father passed away. They bought the business from their mother. They took it online. They used to be a catalog retailer. So all of that history is actually great content that really, really kind of talks and makes you kind of feel awesome about what they're doing. They've got a ton of great buyer's guides, and they're actually not afraid to tell you which products they think suck from the manufacturers they carry, which is really interesting. Most people say, I don't want to offend, I can't offend. Now actually the manufacturers beta test products with them, and they write about it and they help kind of take it to the next step further. And all that happened because they're unafraid to kind of speak their mind on that and have an opinion, and then showing their expertise. So they actually, basically you're using dogs to go bird hunting to retrieve the birds and bring them back to you. And these dogs are extremely expensive, and you have to have a huge amount of training to put these dogs through. So you don't want the dog to run away. So you put a GPS collar around its neck so you can find it if the dog tries to run away, and you have a handheld device. So they've even gone through and they have Steve's picks, and Steve is Rob's brother, where he basically annotated his favorite products that were Steve's picks. And I think there's something, a couple hundred out of the couple thousand products they have are the products that he loves. And so actually what they did was they actually went and made Steve's picks be the products that they were selling a lot of the low-end products. They have kind of low, middle, and high. They actually made all of Steve's picks typically the middle product that had a better margin at a higher price point, and actually increased the sales of those products exponentially by doing that. So again, not afraid to kind of tell people what the story is. Think about your product descriptions. We were giving some 30-minute consultations over the last couple days, and we saw a bunch of sites that had no unique product description. This is just an example of from a Linksys router. I put it in Google and came back with basically 124,000 pages, had the same paragraph of content on it. And how is Google to know what the hell is like the right one to rank, right? If you're going to use the same stuff that everybody else does, like, you know, you're not going to do well. Like, how are you going to be competitive?
It goes back to what we were talking about a little while ago in our consultation, that we have historically called our trademark logo knit shirts, whereas Ethan was telling us that people are searching for polo shirts. So we're going to go back and redo all of the product descriptions for our knit shirts and call them polo shirts.
There's a lot of opportunities for everyone in this room to think about their catalogs and what they're doing. So again, checking the product descriptions, classifying the catalog. You know, it's another thing that we were talking about earlier today is, you know, how do you look at the products on your website and make sure you're selling the right things? And we kind of think about it on two different axes, conversion and traffic. And, you know, what are the products that need promotion, right? These have low traffic and high conversion rate. So you need to kind of get more traffic so you can sell more. What are your top selling products, right? Those are the everyday winners. Those are the ones that get high traffic and high conversion. So Perlis has a signature set of crawfish shirts, crawfish belts, kind of everything crawfish. James Carville's a big fan, and many other folks that are from the area love to kind of rock the Perlis crawfish. It's like the polo of the of Louisiana.
South Louisiana.
So, you know, having unique products and curated products is really important. What are the products that you shouldn't have on your website? Low traffic products, low conversion rate. Those are things you might want to get rid of. If you're just not selling them, you're kind of wasting space. We had an e-tailer come to us that had a tremendous drop in their organic traffic, and you know, they had thousands of products that had no product description on them. And you know, our advice is to shrink the footprint of the site, both by removing those products, because you're not going to probably sell them if you don't have a good picture and a good description. But also, even the ones that are good, you know, tell Google not to index them, so they're not kind of comparing, you know, thinking that you have, you know, 5,000 pages with no content on it. And then what are the pages that need optimization? You know, how do you take something that's got high traffic but a low conversion rate and start to make it a lot better? So I know there's been a lot of talk about that through the sessions as well. So, you know, it's the polo versus the knit shirt piece. So typically, you know, I think about things like, you know, blog topics. You know, 99 problems. Our boy Jay-Z's had some problems this week. But what are the typical problems with your industry or the products that you sell? You can be honest about that and kind of let people know. Your top Samsung TV problems, your top 5 Magento problems and how to solve them. There's a lot of great content on Magento online. The 6 most common car battery problems. Again, all things that kind of show up in the auto-suggest make great blog topics and great content. You know, the versus and compare, and where prospects are always looking for education, right? They want to know what to buy. You know, we were talking about how do we interview Michael's buyers and create blog topics across, you know, for each category of men's, women's, and children's clothing, and what's hot for the spring, what's hot for the summer. You know, have a very kind of you know, a very kind of topographical blog that comes out where we kind of really break down the hottest trends with that. How are you putting that together? Many people still don't do that with their websites. So Coke versus Pepsi, right? Like it's Aeron chair versus Leap. Winemaking versus beer brewing, right? Those are all things that you can start to type almost any type of keyword into Google and versus, and then whatever the auto-suggest says on the other side of that, like you should start to create blog content on that along the way, right? Because again, that's what people are looking for. The auto-suggest has really changed the game in terms of keywords and SEO. Top 5 lists and more lists. the top 5 dishwashers for under $500, the top 5 polo shirts for the spring, 8 reasons to X, 66 ideas for Y, right? You can kind of pair these together with all of your keywords and come up with very, very unique interview series on things. There's blog posts that like my staff has given to me, and I'm like, I'm not putting that on our blog. That's too simple. And I would tell you that some of the most simple elementary blogs are some of like the most traffic driving, converting blogs that we've ever done, right? Because I was overthinking it, right? I know too much, right? Our clients don't know all of those things. And so it's how do we boil that down and kind of, educate people along the way with that? How do you show your experience? How-to documents, how to brew beer, nothing too technical or detailed. How to repair a dishwasher if you sell dishwashers. I think that there's a lot of fun stuff that you could do with that, and people have made great videos around those types of things. Best of the years, holiday guides. Holiday gift guides are great. This is something that Perlis, what to wear, right? What to wear to French Quarterfest for a male or a female, right? I mean, it's when you go into a store, your salespeople are recommending outfits to people, and why aren't you doing that online?
And that's what we're trying to do. A year ago, when we got together with Groove, we were doing none of this. We had a couple hundred Facebook likes. We'll go over 10,000 later this month. In just a few months, we've been online with them. Just the little things that tying our Win It Wednesday contest that Ethan's going to show you again to a product that we're putting in our email is driving traffic not only to the website, but it's driving traffic to the retail stores. People are seeing the emails and coming in to buy the products. Just the coordination of all of these efforts is yielding good results for us.
We're really trying to figure out how to make use of Michael's data as well. I mean, they have tremendous amounts of data going back to how far back does the system go?
At least 2007.
Yeah, so if you want to talk even a little bit about Katrina and,
Well, one of the things that we found that our customers truly appreciated was when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, many, many people lost their entire wardrobes. Our ERP system had track of everything they had ever bought from us. So they would come and get a printout of that and bring it to their insurance company, and we made a lifetime customer. They just filed their claim based on that product list that they had bought from us.
So again, it's how do we get that data of all of this purchase history and make use of that in marketing campaigns and emails. Staying connected, right? This is what Michael was talking about, the Win It Wednesday. These guys did really good for you.
If you look at the number of comments and all on there, I was really amazed when our marketing team started doing things like this. I mean, we give away a koozie, and we get 100 comments and people liking it and buying koozies online. It's a $5 item, but you sell a couple hundred of them, it starts to add up. The shirts there on the left, that's the one specifically that one of our stores in Mandeville, Louisiana, the lady said, and she's the one pointed out, every time that we do a Win It Wednesday and coordinate it with the email, she gets people calling and walking in the doors.
So again, they're trying to blend the online and the offline component of that as well too. This is an email welcome series that Perlis recently did, basically giving a 15% discount off the first order. At the same time, our goal is to kind of put people in a men's bucket, a women's bucket, a children's bucket. We're going to play with that offer back and forth. Like 15% can be a little rich. So, we think things like koozies and for an apparel, retailer, some custom shirts and things that are, have a low kind of product price, would be a better option for giveaways. So we're going to try to kind of play with that. But, it was pretty interesting to kind of look at the stats on that and basically see, in the first month, it generated $8,000 in sales from the email pop-up of people that weren't in the system before. So again, leveraging kind of every component of that and trying to get people to buy. So these were people that just needed a little bit of nudge. Cart abandonment. Again, cart abandonment doesn't need to be about a discount all the time. Sometimes it's just a reminder. We actually recommend not giving a discount on the first pass-through, somewhere between 5 and 8 hours after they leave their cart. And again, if depending upon what you sell, you may have an ability to give away some items like a koozie or a T-shirt that's a lot cheaper than giving points off the purchase. So having a cart abandonment series with multiple points of follow-up until they have purchased. So this was an example from another client where they recovered 31,000 in carts in their first month, right? So again, some of those folks may come back and buy. Then again, I still see people that still have their cart time in their Magento settings still set to 30 minutes or an hour instead of 15 or 30 days, and people's carts disappear. But this is real dollars for people, in terms of driving revenue that was going to be lost back to the site. Start a birthday series, right? Again, how can you collect more information? One of the things that we were talking about yesterday is why not ask more questions on your success page, on your thank you page, right? Like, we're big fans of like putting an additional form on a thank you page to try to get more data out of people and reconvert them again. And so I guarantee you, if you put on the thank you page of your Magento site some follow-up questions around, hey, what's your birth date, right? You don't want to ask that during the checkout, right? You definitely don't want to do that. But maybe if you sell sports apparel, what's your favorite NFL team? When's your birthday? There's 20 questions that I could think of that you could kind of roll through that and get more information about people in the process. When's your anniversary date, right? Again, we're trying to take somebody that has a huge kind of book of information internally with a local retailer and to leverage that information on a much larger scale through automated systems. Post-purchase follow-up. Again, this is something that I think that this is stuff that I bought from Banana Republic. But send emails asking for reviews post-purchase. It's awesome user-generated content, right? Again, another panda killer. Don't use a JavaScript-based review system. You got to get that content on the page. Visitors are expecting between 3 to 7 reviews per product, but you got to stoke the fire there. And again, I still see so many sites that don't have that. You can also put kind of cross-sell items in these emails as well and try to kind of reconvert them that way, right? So there's a lot of little things that you can do that are within reach.